The Ia Drang Valley holds a unique place in modern military history. It marks the first large-scale confrontation between U.S. forces and the North Vietnamese Army in November 1965. More than a geographical location, Ia Drang became a turning point that reshaped the direction, the scale, and the expectations of the war. For the United States, it was the first major test of air mobility tactics, an ambitious strategy centered on the use of helicopters to move troops rapidly. For North Vietnam, it was an opportunity to evaluate their approach to fighting a technologically superior opponent. Understanding Ia Drang is not simply about revisiting a historical event. It is about examining how strategic choices, environments, and lessons learned can influence the course of an entire conflict.
By mid-1965, the conflict in Vietnam had escalated beyond limited advisory missions. The United States had begun deploying combat troops, while North Vietnam increased its regular army presence in the south. Tensions grew quickly across the Central Highlands, an area of dense forests and strategic pathways. Both sides recognized the region's importance for controlling supply routes and influencing nearby provinces. As operations intensified, the U.S. sought to disrupt North Vietnamese movements, while North Vietnam aimed to challenge the growing American presence. Against this backdrop, Ia Drang became the stage for an encounter neither side fully anticipated, yet both would remember for decades to come.
Geographically, the Ia Drang Valley is framed by mountains, thick jungles, and natural clearings. These characteristics made it both a refuge and a potential battleground. For the U.S. military, the open spaces provided rare landing zones suitable for helicopter deployment, a critical factor in air mobility doctrine. For North Vietnamese forces, the same terrain offered concealment, familiar footpaths, and numerous vantage points. The valley's proximity to key supply networks also made it strategically valuable. In many ways, Ia Drang became a point where opportunity and risk met, drawing both armies toward an unavoidable clash. One of the defining features of the Ia Drang campaign was the United States' use of helicopter-based mobility. This approach allowed American troops to travel quickly across difficult terrain, arrive precisely where they were needed, and receive support from above. Helicopters transformed the battlefield by reducing travel time and providing logistical flexibility. At Ia Drang, U.S. commanders aimed to use this mobility to surprise enemy forces and maintain control of the operation's tempo. The operation was also a real-world test of how air mobility would perform against a well-organized opponent in unpredictable terrain. Although the strategy offered significant advantages, it also revealed limitations, especially when landing zones became contested or when units were isolated. North Vietnamese forces responded with adaptability and deep understanding of the terrain. Instead of confronting U.S. units in open areas where helicopters and air support held the advantage, they focused on mobility within the jungle, dispersing into smaller groups and concentrating only at decisive moments. Their approach relied on terrain familiarity, endurance, and the ability to choose when and where to engage. At Ia Drang, this strategy challenged the American assumption that superior technology alone could dictate the outcome. North Vietnamese commanders recognized that flexibility, timing, and positioning would be key to countering air-mobile tactics. The Ia Drang campaign revolved around two primary engagements: Landing Zone X-ray and Landing Zone Albany. At X-ray, U.S. units inserted by helicopter encountered strong resistance as both sides maneuvered for advantage. The fighting highlighted both the strengths and vulnerabilities of air mobile forces operating far from established bases. At Albany, during a later movement through dense jungle, U.S. elements encountered unexpected opposition in an area with limited visibility and challenging terrain. This engagement emphasized the risks of navigating unfamiliar environments and the importance of coordination and reconnaissance. Together, X-ray and Albany illustrated how swiftly conditions could change in the Central Highlands and how critical decision-making became in such environments. Ia Drang provided lessons that influenced military doctrine for years afterward. For the United States, the battle confirmed that helicopters could dramatically enhance mobility, but also that rapid deployment required secure landing zones, strong coordination, and awareness of isolation risks. North Vietnamese leaders recognized that their approach, blending mobility, terrain familiarity, and timing, could offset disadvantages in equipment and firepower. Both sides learned that the Central Highlands demanded adaptability and respect for the environment. The lessons drawn from Ia Drang were analyzed in military academies and command centers, shaping strategies for future operations. The effects of Ia Drang extended well beyond the battlefield. For the U.S., the engagement encouraged expanded troop deployment and greater reliance on air mobility. The battle also contributed to strategic discussions in Washington, influencing expectations about the course of the conflict. For North Vietnam, the results reinforced confidence in their long-term approach and strengthened commitment to a protracted struggle. Ia Drang served as an early indicator of the challenges ahead: difficult terrain, unpredictable momentum, and the need for enduring resolve. Over time, historians came to view Ia Drang as a microcosm of the broader conflict, complex, costly, and shaped by contrasting strategies.
Today, the Ia Drang Valley is remembered through books, documentaries, personal accounts, and academic studies. Veterans from both sides have shared their experiences, offering insight into the challenges they faced and the lessons that carried forward. The Valley's story is not just about military strategies. It is also about the individuals who lived through difficult circumstances and the long-term reflections that emerged afterward. In historical memory, Ia Drang reminds us of the human dimension of conflict and the importance of learning from the past to pursue a more peaceful future.
Studying the Ia Drang Valley is essential for understanding how decisions, strategies, and environments shape historical outcomes. The battle highlights the intersection of innovation and limitation, preparation and uncertainty. More importantly, it reveals how complex conflicts become when multiple factors, technology, terrain, leadership, and resilience collide. By examining Ia Drang, we gain perspective on both the choices made during the war and the broader lessons of history. In the end, Ia Drang stands as a reminder that understanding the past is one of the most meaningful ways to build a more informed and peaceful future.